Hey there, soulmates. It's your girl, Dr. Melissa, back with another soul-stirring episode of Standing on Business, where it's not just business, it's personal. Now, today I'm super excited about this topic because we're going to tackle a topic that touches every single one of us that's on a purpose-driven journey. And that is how to overcome fear by learning to do it afraid. Now, some of you may be thinking, hey, listen, Dr. Melissa, I get it. And I am working on my fears. I'm just working on it and waiting until I'm not afraid anymore. And then I'm going to be able to take that action that I need to take because I will no longer be afraid. Let me tell you, my dear soulmate, let me share a little secret with you. Come closer. The day that you're no longer afraid, that day may never come. Listen, that day, soulmate, may never come. And listen, that's okay. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is taking action in spite of the fear. Listen, I'll tell you, I've been there. When I first started my business a decade ago, fear was my constant companion. I mean, it was my ride or die, okay? I was crippled and grappled with fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being enough. And then there were those days when I just felt like that fear was paralyzing. I almost couldn't move. I was almost immobilized by the fear. But I will tell you that I learned something powerful during that time. And that is the only way to get through fear is to go through fear. Let me say that again. The only way to get through fear is to go through the fear. It's like that old saying that I heard someone say years ago. Listen, if you're going through hell, by all means, don't stop. Keep going, right? So let me share this personal story with you. When I was preparing for this really big speaking engagement that I was going to have the opportunity to do, I will tell you that the fear was so intense that I considered backing out. I mean, listen, my heart was racing, my palms were sweating, and there was this nagging voice in my head that kept saying, who do you think you are to speak before all these people? But then I remembered why I started this journey in the first place. And it was to empower others to live their purpose. You see, I realized that my message was more important than my fear. So I took a deep breath, stepped onto that stage, and did it afraid. And I'm talking about afraid the entire time. But you know what? It wasn't perfect, but it was powerful. You see, that act of courage that day opened doors I could have never imagined. That speech, ironically, was called Fear Less. And on that stage that I stood on, there was a large red circle. Yeah, you guessed it. It was none other than the TEDx stage that I was standing on. I will tell you that the journey to delivering my TED Talk taught me something profound, and that is that fear is not a stop sign. It's a signpost pointing toward our growth edge, pointing towards the things that matter most to us. You see, when we feel fear, it's often because we're on the brink of something important, something major, something meaningful. So, how do we learn to do it afraid? Glad you asked. I will tell you that it starts with awareness. You see, you've got to notice when the fear shows up, right? And part of awareness is by honing in on what triggers the fear. And when the fear shows up, what stories do it tell you? You see, getting to know your fear intimately is the first step in learning how to work with it rather than to be controlled by it. Okay? So the first step I'm going to tell you is to get awareness. Next, I'm going to say a word that you hear me say often, and that's about reframing. Instead of seeing fear as something to be gotten rid of or eliminated, can you see it as a part of growth, a natural part of growth? Can you get to the point where you are willing to thank your fear for trying to protect you? Because that's what it's trying to do. It's trying to keep you safe. It's trying to keep you from making a big fat failure of yourself and being embarrassed and all of that stuff. But an important step of growth is when we can thank our fears for trying to protect us. And then gently instruct it to have a seat and watch you work because, hey, you've got this. Another most important step, and perhaps most importantly, is to take action. Here's what I would say to you. Start small if you need to. I want you to think about what's one tiny, brave action you could take today in the face of your fear. Because here's what I want you to remember. Courage, that courage that we're all talking about that we want, courage is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Okay, guys, so listen, this is good stuff. But we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. But be sure that you come right on back because on the other side of the break, we're going to dive into the tangible, practical strategies that you need in order to do it afraid. See you in a moment.
Welcome to a unique brew of perspectives. What's the Tea with Gen XYZ is your one-stop spot for a fresh take on today's burning issues. Representing 3 generations, a Gen X icon, a millennial maverick, and a Gen Z trailblazer stir up conversations ranging from social justice to pop culture. They'll bring the heat, spill the honest truth, and find common ground across the years. Expect humor, candor, and perhaps a dash of healthy debate. Enlightening, insightful, and sure to stir the pot. Stay tuned for a stimulating dialogue that bridges the generation gap, one cup at a time.
Welcome back, soulmates. Now that we've talked about the importance of doing it afraid, let's go ahead and dive into some practical strategies for overcoming fear and taking courageous action. Now, if you haven't done so, go on ahead to YouTube and watch my TED Talk because in that talk, I give you 4 strategies to fear less based on the acronym LESS. Lose and learn, evaluate yourself, self-care, and seek support. But today I want to provide you with some additional strategies that can help you overcome fear by doing it afraid. So, First, let's talk about the power of visualization. Before you face a fear-inducing situation, I want you to take some time to visualize yourself moving through it successfully. Visualize it. I want you to see yourself taking action. I want you to visualize yourself feeling the fear, but doing it anyway. You see, this visualization, this mental rehearsal can boost your confidence, and it can also prepare you for the real thing. So it's sort of like a dress rehearsal. We do this before we actually have to do the thing, okay? Next, consider implementing a fear-setting exercise. What is this? This is where you would write down your fear, right? Write down that thing that has you afraid. And then I want you to do the unthinkable. I want you to imagine the worst case scenario. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? Okay? Write that down. Then I want you to ask yourself, could you survive the worst case scenario? Like, you wrote down your fear. You wrote down the worst thing that could happen if you acted on this fear, right? And now you're asking yourself, could you survive that? Like, if the worst case scenario happened, like would the earth keep spinning on its axis if that thing were to happen, right? Would it be apocalyptic? If that worst thing happened, would the sky still be blue? Would the grass still be green? You see, when we shine a light on our fears, oftentimes we realize that they are not as devastating as our minds make them out to be. And more importantly, we realize that we have the strength to handle it. If the worst thing happened, more than likely, we would have the strength to handle whatever came our way with respect to that scenario. Okay? Let's talk about another powerful practice. And that is to create, I'm going to call it a courage resume. We know what a resume is. I want you to create a courage resume. I want you to write down all of the times that you've been brave in the past, all of the fears that you have already overcome. When fear strikes, and it will, I want you to pull out your resume to remind yourself of your own courage and your own resilience. Said another way, this courage resume, I also refer to it as receipts. Receipts, to me, those are tangible pieces of evidence of all of the times that I acted in spite of my fears. So when my fears show up and say, you can't do this or you're not capable, I reach in my pocket and I say, but baby, I've got receipts of times that I did do it and I was capable and I did make it. And the sky was still blue and the grass was still green. Here's the thing, soulmates. Feeling the fear is normal. So let's normalize that. Sometimes we're trying to beat ourselves up or we're like, I can't believe I'm afraid. And I want you to understand that fear is normal. It's what you do in the face of that fear that defines you. And listen, every time you take action, in spite of your fear, you're growing, you're expanding, and you're stepping more fully into your purpose. Okay, so now it's time for our Q&A segment where I get to connect with you directly and answer all of your burning questions about overcoming fear and doing it afraid. So our first question comes from Emma. And Emma writes, I know what I need to do to grow my business, but I'm paralyzed by the fear of failure. How do I move past this? Yes, Emma, this is a common fear. The fear of failure is so common, especially when you are a purpose-driven person and an entrepreneur who cares so much about your work. Because when you're an entrepreneur and a leader, what you do impacts others. So the fear of failure is a common, and it's one of those fears that it makes sense that we would have it, right? But here's what I want you to remember. Failure isn't the opposite of success. Oftentimes we think I either succeed or I fail. And that's not true. That's not a good linear process for us to be thinking about. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is formative. Failure is foundational to our success. I want you to try reframing failure as feedback. You see, every failure is an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to refine your approach. It's an opportunity to get closer to what actually works. You know, Nelson Mandela said, I never lose. I either win or learn. So what we call losses or failures are simply lessons, okay? Please understand that some of the most successful people in the world have failed countless times. The difference is they didn't let those failures stop them. I want you to also consider this. What's the cost of not taking action? You're afraid of failure, I understand. But what's the cost? What will it cost you to sit on the sidelines, give in to the fear, and not take action? What opportunities might you miss? Who won't get helped if you let your fear hold you back from serving? Oftentimes, the regret of not trying, when you get to the end of your life, it'll be the regret of not trying. And that will be far worse than any potential failure. And I would also, Emma, in a practical sense, just start small. Break down your big, hairy, scary goal, the thing that has you afraid. Break it down into tiny, manageable steps. What's one action, one thing that you could do today? Focus on that. Focus on the one thing that you can do today, and then celebrate that, and then take the next small action, the next small step. When you do this, before you know it, you will have made significant progress in spite of your fears. All right, let's go to our next question. Oh, and this question comes from our inbox and not our Purpose Posse. And it comes from Alex in New York. Hi, Alex. Pleased to meet you. Thank you for reaching out. Alex asked, I'm afraid of putting myself out there and being visible in my business. How can I overcome this fear of being seen? Whew, Alex, thank you for your honesty. This was one of mine as well. This whole fear of visibility is so common, especially in today's digital world where putting ourselves out there can feel so scary and vulnerable. I can tell you it has been one of my biggest struggles as a private person. Putting myself out there and being visible and being seen was fear-provoking for me. But let me tell you, here's how we can overcome this. First, I'm going to tell you to reconnect with your why. Why did you start this business in the first place? Who are you here to serve? You see, when you start focusing on the impact that you're called to make rather than on yourself, it becomes a lot easier to just show up and step into the spotlight because you understand that you can't serve the people that you're called to serve from behind the shadows, from behind the curtains, okay? The next thing I would tell you is to start small, sort of like what I said to Emma. Maybe when you're thinking about being visible and showing up and dealing with that fear of that, maybe start small by sharing a post without showing your face. They have these faceless social media posts that you can do. Start by doing that, or by doing a live video in a small private group. By doing this, you can gradually expand your comfort zone, and that's going to help you to build confidence as you go along. I will tell you, keep this in mind. It was one of the things I needed to constantly remind myself of. Perfection is not the goal. It's not even really a thing, okay? We think it's a thing, but it's not. Your audience, Alex, your people, your tribe, don't need you to be perfect. They just need you to be authentic. You see, your vulnerability, your realness, that's what people will connect with, because that's what they'll see in themselves, okay? And the last thing I would say with respect to this question, Alex, is surround yourself with supportive people. Share your fears with trusted friends, or join a community of like-minded entrepreneurs, sort of like the My Soul Purpose community. Shameless plug. I will say, in all honesty, it is so invaluable to have cheerleaders in your corner. And I promise you that can make a world of difference when you're on this scary, hairy journey. Hope that helped. Thanks for reaching out, Alex. Whew. Wow, soulmates. This has been a powerful exploration of fear that we've had today. As we wrap up this episode, I want to leave you with this. Your fear is not a sign that something is wrong or that you're doing something wrong. It's quite the opposite. It's a sign that you're doing something brave. Every time you feel fear and take action anyway, you're growing, you're expanding, you're stepping into your purpose and your potential more fully. And remember, please remember, you don't have to get rid of the fear to move forward. You just have to be willing to bring your fear along for the ride. Have it to take a seat and buckle up and enjoy the ride. So this week, in light of all of this, I'm going to challenge each of you to do one thing that scares you. Doesn't have to be big. It just has to stretch you a little bit beyond your comfort zone. And then once you do that, I want you to share your commitment, share what you did in our community if you are a part of our Purpose Posse, or like Alex, email us and tell us all about it, okay? That way we can cheer each other on as we all continue to learn, myself included, to do it afraid. Please remember, soulmates, that courage is not about being fearless. It's just about being able to fear less. It's about feeling the fear and taking action anyway. It's about recognizing that your purpose is so much bigger than your fear. It's about knowing that you are braver than you know. You are stronger than you believe. And you're more capable than you can imagine. So I want to thank you all for tuning in to Standing on Business with Dr. Melissa. I truly hope that today's discussion has ignited a fire within you to embrace your authenticity, prioritize your growth, and infuse your life and business with purpose. If you want more information about me, please visit our website. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then follow me on all of the socials. And then, if you're ready to take your business to the next level and align it with your purpose, I'm going to invite you to join our free community, the My Soul Purpose community. There, you're going to have the opportunity to connect with like-minded entrepreneurs, gain clarity on your purpose, and develop a roadmap for aligning your business with your authentic self. The community is free. So, to learn more and to secure your spot, you can join us at community.purposeprophetess.com. I cannot wait to support and serve you there. So join me next week as we dive deeper into the strategies and mindset shifts needed to build a purpose-driven business. I want you to remember that you are purposeful and you are powerful. I truly, truly believe in you, and I cannot wait to see the incredible things that you're going to achieve. So, until next time, soulmates, keep standing up, keep standing out, and keep standing on business. Bye for now.